Hey, what's going on, everybody? Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday night. It is Tuesday night, August. Oh, gosh, what is it? I don't even know what freaking day it is. August 5th. Gosh, how's the summer gone by so far? Summer's almost over. Hate to say it, but welcome, everybody. Thanks for jumping in, those of you that can. Tonight was kind of a last-minute video that I wanted to put together, a last-minute show. And I guess I'll say that the Van Halen ink got a little bit of an addition to it. I don't know if you guys can see it. The last one stopped right about here, and then there was some drips, but I wanted to extend it a little bit. So, geez, it went the wrong way. Extended it down here and back that way. Got rid of the drips, but so that was a little bit of an extension. And then had to get the Patriots tattoos, a little bit of extra. So it was a tattoo morning with my beautiful and amazing daughter, Molly, who got a really awesome scriptural piece, Bible scriptural piece on her forearm. And that was great. That's the first time I've ever had a tattoo with my daughter. I've done it with my son a couple of times, but never with my daughter. So that was great. So that was my Saturday. There's some really cool stuff coming up. I've got a lot of feedback from the video we did a couple of weeks ago with George Felice. George was awesome. He came on and we had some really good discussions on the Van Halen guitars and his role in that and how that all worked out. So we might have some questions tonight on that, but if we do, that'll be awesome. But at the same time, we got something really cool to talk about tonight. And I actually have two special guests. One of them you've seen before on my show, and everybody knows who he is. And the other one, everybody knows who he is, but I don't think he's ever been on my show. He has been on the Johnny Bean show years and years ago when R.I.P. Dave Nesdall. We had him on the show back years ago when the three of us used to do it. And I got a special gift today, and we're going to talk about that. And let's bring him in first. So we have Jeremy from Mississippi. How you doing,
Mississippi?
This is the guy with the best in the world Van Halen posters. There's not a guy in the world, and he's got the jump poster back there. That freaking thing goes for almost $500 now, by the way. I got one in the dojo with a Van Halen dojo. Look at that. There we go. Yep, that's a great one. I had both of those. I don't have the Kramer one anymore. I gave that to Hubbard a few years back. How you doing, buddy?
Started that.
Yeah, I did, I guess. My many habits, right? Yeah. How you doing, Jeremy?
Oh, man, everything's going good. We're trying to deal with this heat down in Mississippi because, man, it is a different kind of heat. I mean, it's just humidity and we just pray for December, you know?
Yeah. It's funny. About 15 years ago, I spent a lot of time down south, Arkansas, Mississippi, Louisiana, when I worked for the nuclear industry in security. And I'll never forget, we used to do most of our training in the off season, you know, in the winter time or early spring, and it wasn't so bad. But I'll never forget the time I flew into Little Rock, Arkansas in middle of July, and I got off the plane and I'm going out. This is like back in 2003 or 5, I can't remember, between that, and walked out of the airport out to get the rental car, and it was just hitting with a hot, wet industrial fan right in your freaking face. I'm like, oh, this sucks. And we live in the Northeast in Massachusetts, and we get some humid weather up here too. But I'll tell you, that was another kind of humid, man.
This stuff down here, man, it's like elephants on your back. I mean, you walk outside and you're like, no, I think I'm going to go back inside. Screw this.
Yeah, I know. Thank God for air conditioners, right?
Absolutely.
You know, it's funny. My wife and I were at a wedding in Lake Tahoe last week. My wife was the maid of honor in an amazing, beautiful wedding. You guys will probably see some pictures at some point. and middle of July or end of July, whatever. And it was about 75 degrees, but obviously, it's right on the California Nevada line. It was in just, about an hour south of Reno. And actually right in the south end of Lake Tahoe, like I said, literally half a mile from the California border. And I'm telling you, man, it was literally the best weather I've ever seen in my life in July. It was 75 degrees, but dry. Of course, the West Coast doesn't have any humidity. So I don't know, man. I think I've been missing the boat all these years. I should have moved out to the West Coast, but yeah, I didn't have all my guns. So unless I was a criminal, then I could have all of them. It wouldn't matter. Law-abiding citizen, I couldn't have them, but yeah.
There you go.
So welcome, Jeremy. It's great to have you, buddy. And we have another special guest here because we're going to talk about a few things tonight. One is an amazing gift that I got in the mail today. Total surprise. I knew it was coming a few days back when Jeremy posted it, but it was a total surprise. And then there's a couple of other things that I have. One of them is right behind me, right here, that we're going to talk about. And this is absolutely amazing. And there's actually two things. So let's bring this other guy in. You all know who he is. This is Mr. Donnie Ward. What's going on?
I'm back. You can't get rid of me.
Yeah, I know, right? Now, I just saw something on Facebook today. Now I see it again. What do we have right there behind you?
Well, so I have a new apprentice here at the shop. And as with any apprenticeship, I think it's important to give the individuality to say, like, you're working in my shop and I'm going to teach you the ways, but you kind of want your own thing to do that isn't, what I do all the time. So this individual loves Randy Rhoads, and I don't think the timing could be any better for us to start down this path with the polka dot V. So I've never made one of these. I'm familiar with them because of the Dan Electro thing with the neck and whatnot. So, provided some of my research and just got glued up today. The body was cut, I think, 36 hours ago. The neck was cut today, and this is what it looks like. So I'm excited to test it out, give it a test ride, but it's been fun so far. So, if you guys are into Randy Rhoads, then we're going to do those now.
Awesome.
He's going to do them. I'm just kind of overseeing. This is his thing, though.
That's awesome. That's great. Welcome, dude.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Chat with you about here in a minute. But let's jump into something that showed up in the mail today. And I was really amazed. I tried to do a set of these back about 20 years ago, 15, 20 years ago. And I guess it was okay. And then EVH released them, and those are really cool. And they sold them for a few years, and then they don't sell them anymore. And they go for about anywhere from $300 to $600 on eBay. And I'm just like, what? It's crazy. Box comes in the mail today, and all of a sudden these show up, and I'm like, whoa! I mean, look at these damn things. Look at this. This is insane.
It's pretty good work.
Yeah, this is not only is the color right, it's not a deep burgundy looking color. It's the striping pattern is right, and these look almost identical. Ed had the real super high tops too. He had a whole bunch of them, but this is what Ed's actually looked like, and Ed's were actually real Converse, and that's what these are. And Jeremy did a set for. I think we're going to turn the phone over to you here for a second, Jeremy, but you did a set for your daughter, Halen. Wonderful name, by the way. And by the way, Chris Hubbard's daughter's name is Halen too. She's a little bit younger, I think, but you did or maybe not, I think about the same age. You did a set for your daughter, and I think I responded on your Facebook post because obviously we've been friends for, over 20 years and chat and do a guitar thing, and I was like, dude, those are amazing. And I'm like, I got to get a pair of those. And then Jeremy just stepped up to the plate. And I don't know if you want to give away your secret. It was a gift. He's not selling them per se, but because we don't want to get into any kind of copyright issues. But he offered to do a set for me. And I'm like, yeah, that's great. So I'm going to hand it over to you, bud. What got you into doing the sneakers? And even, I mean, how do you do it? I mean, this lines on these things are just crisp for a pair of sneakers on fabric. That's not even, I mean, that's, I don't know. I mean, that's incredible. What do you use? How do you do it? And feel free to not divulge whatever you don't want to.
Yeah, I'm not gonna give out any secrets, but well, actually, my daughter Halen actually wore hers to school today, and you're gonna get to see her now.
Hey, Halen, how you doing?
That's Rob.
How are you? I've heard a lot about you. We've heard a lot about you. Have you seen your sneakers? Look at those. Did your dad show you what he did for me?
He's on there.
Check. Here we go. See that? He did a set for me because I liked yours so much. I was like, whoa, those look like the same ones that Ed wore. Well, it's nice to officially meet you, Halen.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Actually, I've been doing those for years. Like here at the house, I would do a set for myself, and there are very few pictures on the internet. If you Google, Edward with Converse or whatever,
Right.
there are very few pictures. This is one of the few.
Yeah, Flying Eddies. I got a T-shirt of that in the mail the other day, Hef, that I got off of. That one came off of eBay. I have the other one with Eddie's playing the 5150 Flying Eddies I got from the EVH store. EVH store, love you guys. You guys rock. But that one you can get off eBay with the Music Man and T-shirt.
But they are just, few and far between or whatever. And I mean, when you're dealing with an actual shoe, it's 3-dimensional and you're trying to, get the stripe pattern correct or to what you want it, it's very, very challenging. It's very, very difficult. And I've done them over the years. I've done them for my daughter Halen. I've got them from when she was an infant up till now, obviously because of her name. Because a lot of times when we're in public, or wait a minute, this is her actually first pair. She went and found them.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Wow.
Can you see there my son's so my son is 26, he's 6'4".
Right.
Made for him back in 1999. And
wow. That's awesome.
Yep. My buddy made these for me back in 1999.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
That's incredible. But I just, so many times when we're in public, and I know a lot of people because I just worked around here for years, and people would say, they come up, hey, this is your daughter, blah, blah, blah. And she would say, well, my name is Halen. And a lot of times they would think she said Haley. And I told her, I said, don't be overbearing or whatever, but just say, no, my name is Halen, like Van Halen. And they'll remember that. I actually got that. I have to give credit where credit is due.
Yep.
Years ago, you guys remember EddieVanHalen.com.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. I was on that. Yeah.
Right. I was too. Donnie was there.
Donnie, you were on that.
That was the main forum I was on back in the day.
Absolutely. And Andre Doles, I believe, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, was the owner and like whatever of that site. And I saw this was years before we thought about having kids. And he named one of his kids Halen. And I thought, that's great. So I told my wife way back when, I was like, hey, if we have a kid, we're going to name it Halen blank this. And we came up with a middle name and we spelled it different if it was a girl or a boy, but it was the same name. And that's what we did,
Wow.
That's awesome.
you know. I actually have mine on. These are from like,
When did you do those have? Look at those. They look like Eddie's that he wore in '04. They were all like the soles are worn. Those are cool.
these I did probably a decade ago.
Wow.
Can you see those? I can't see.
Yeah. They're in frame.
Because I would do them like whenever they would do it, when Van Halen would do a tour and he would wear those shoes, I would go, well, I want a pair of those, so I'll do them because nobody else was doing them. So I would just do them, for myself. And I mean, I've been out in public with these things on, and people come up to me and go, I know what that's inspired by, but where'd you get them? And I'd be like, I did them myself.
Do you use a paint pen or do you actually use spray cans?
I can't tell you that.
Good. Don't. Exactly.
Neither.
That was a test. That was a test because here's the next part. Anybody who thinks that they want a pair of these, because EVH doesn't make them anymore, they will start redoing them now. You just watch. This is going to be immediately tomorrow. EVH, whoa, just released. We're doing it again. Check these out. Anybody who wants a pair of these, and I already tried them on, and I'm going to the David Lee Roth concert next week.
I just went.
Oh, did you?
In Tampa. Yeah, 2 days ago.
Beach and next week.
Nice.
My wife and I are going up, so that's going to be kind of cool. Donnie, let me ask you real quick. Well, first off, hold on. Anybody who wants a pair of these, I want you to look up our good friend Jeremy, and Jeremy will gift you a pair. And they are awesome. They are everything you could possibly imagine. And I want to give a little bit of credit to the EVH folks. A lot of credit. I still got a brand new pair of flops. I bought these about like 8 years ago. They're not, I don't even have the tags off them yet. And these are something that they were selling, like the slider, the beach shoes, the EVH shoes. Those are pretty cool. They don't even make these ones anymore. The Van style. They don't even make these. I got a pair of these. So anybody who says, Rob, you don't support EVH, EVH has got thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars over the years. So yes, I do, and I will continue to. Got a pair of these. These are all great. I got all the hats. And then these, of course. They make these.
I had a few back in high school, my high school days. It was a little more recent, but yeah, I had a couple pairs too.
And you got to have some drills.
Yep.
This used to be Dave Nesdall's drill. I have my own too.
Really?
But yeah, there you go. Right.
Hey, you guys are ready to be luthiers.
Yeah, right. But I just want to say real quick, EVH, the brand is amazing. They have some awesome stuff. But if you want to kind of go a little bit old school and you want to go back to what Ed actually wore with the right stripe pattern and the right color, look up Mr. Hefner because he does amazing work, and I'm proud to wear these, and I will be wearing them to the David Lee Roth concert next week.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So how many pairs have you made since the first pair that you just showed me up until this pair that you just made me, would you say?
Probably 10 or 15 pair, just between me and Halen. I mean, my wife Renee won't touch them with a 10-foot pole.
I'm trying to convince my wife to wear the striped leggings that I got her on, and she looks amazing in them, by the way, incredible. And I got a probably out of her, so
It's progress.
Yeah, it's progress.
There you go.
Progress, yeah. Well, that's great. That's awesome. So basically what happened was I got home tonight and this package, and I opened it up and I knew what it was, and I was pumped for it. And I just looked at these things and I was like, damn, these are just freaking awesome. They're just cool. I'm probably not going to wear them everywhere. I'm going to kind of keep them nice because they're not something you, like Jeremy said, you can't just go buy them. But I am going to wear them for special occasions, and I'm going to wear them next week to the concert. And, thank you very much, Jeremy. I really appreciate it. That is a super, super gift. And after a hard day's work today, that was a nice thing to come home and smile to.
Awesome. They actually showed up a day earlier.
Yeah. Well, they knew it was coming to me. So.
Right.
Yeah.
They had to be on time for the show.
Yeah, right. Yeah, had time for the show. Let's just jump in the chat real quick and see who we got in here. We got Grayson, who is my stepson. So, hey, buddy, how you doing? His mom's trying to put him to bed here pretty soon. He's probably going to kick his heels in a little bit because he's going to have to stay up and watch the show. Grayson finally started to. Here's the funny thing. He's such a great kid. He reminds me of my son Connor in so many ways when he was his age, and very much of me in a lot of ways. When he gets into something, he just goes full tilt. Like it's like the boiling water just spilling over the freaking pot. Which is a double-edged sword, because that's great because you always succeed at what you do, but you end up driving people away in the process because you're too crazy with it. But he does great, and I'm joking, of course, but he started doing his own live shows on Whatnot. Whatnot? It's a new, Whatnot. And Grayson, I'm going to give you a little plug here, bud. Where is it? Where is it here? Here it is. Whatnot is the. Oh, wait a minute. Let me show you the link. Hold on. Yeah, I don't know if you can see it in the bottom. Yeah, right in the corner there. Whatnot is what it's called. Anyways, it's like an auction show. It's like an eBay kind of like, you want to sell stuff. You can do live shows. Well, anyways, he got into the Pokemon card stuff, and he's been selling Pokemon cards. And he said to me, he was like, "Hey, Rob, I got to help you with the show, and I got to do this and that." I'm like, "Yeah, whatever." And lo and behold, he shows me how to set up a donation button on my page. By the way, if anybody would like to donate to Rob 5150 EVH, all you got to do is click on my name at the bottom of this page, and it will bring you over to my main page. And then there's a PayPal link there. And just would like to say, if anybody would like to donate, we had George Felice on. I'm going to have a couple of other surprise guests on. And it's been 10 years, been doing this channel, and love doing it. And if anybody would like to, to contribute to it, I would really appreciate it. All the guests would, because I want to keep doing this. So that would be great. Thank you so much for that. But Grayson, I'll tell you, is these young guys, I'm going to tell you, they're crazy. I remember when I was a little kid, and playing video games, and my dad, I don't know how you guys do this, whatever, and then here I am at 51 years old, and I don't know how to do nothing, but so Grayson, how you doing, bud? Robert Snyder, how you doing? I hope the surprise is Barney wearing the shoes. Barney, come here. Not wearing the shoes, but he is sitting right here. You say hi, buddy?
Always nearby.
Oh yeah,
Barney.
He's always nearby. He is the Rob Johnson mascot. Yeah, he's been to EVH Con. He's been, oh gosh, the guy's been everywhere. Let's see. With Nick Horton, what's going on, my friend? How you doing? Hey, Nick, I want to give you a shout out. I've been watching a lot of your videos that you put out on your playing and stuff. Man, keep up the good work, dude. Sounds good. Really sounds good. Hugh Robin, how you doing? Jerry Leica.
Jerry Leica.
Jerry sends me a text today. He goes, "Hey, Rob, what's your address?" And I like, what? Like, Jerry's famous for this. And I gave it to him. I'm like, "What are you sending me? Is this a surprise?" I'm like, "Oh boy, here we go. Another surprise." So if it's coming from Jerry Leica, I know it's probably going to be something amazing.
Jerry's one of the OGs.
Yes, sir.
Oh yeah. Back in 1996, when I got into doing this Van Halen stuff, I was like, I got on, what was it called? It wasn't Halen. It was
VH Links.
No, not that one. Unchained World.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And I think Eric Broadbent was the guy that had kind of put that together. And all of a sudden, there's this guy, Scott Smith and Jerry Leica. And I'm like, whoa, look at these guys' collections. What the hell? I want to do that. And I just recently started playing guitar. I got a little bit of a late start. I started in my early 20s. And
I started later than you.
did you really?
Yeah.
When did you start?
Geez, probably 2003. I was a drummer and a tuba player before that.
Really? I didn't know that. For some reason, I never knew that. Well, I was always into martial arts and doing stuff. And since I was back in the, when Diver Down came, I mean, I remember I was born in 73. So I remember 78, my mom and dad, you really got me, and Jamie's crying and all that. But I really started paying attention to Van Halen in like 82, 83 when I was 9, 10 years old. Diver Down came out. Then Jump came out in 1984. And I'm 11 years old. And it's like, boom, I want to play guitar. I want to be like this Eddie Van Halen guy. And, no more listening to Rod Stewart and all this, whatever. And then they got into the A-Team, the TV show, which is whatever, and all this. And then Jean-Claude Van Damme in the late 80s. Then martial arts started. Never got around to playing guitar. And then finally, and I went to see Van Halen in 95 in the Balance Tour. And it was just like freaking boom, whoa. This is just, of course, it was the wet, dry, wet set. It was the last era of Eddie with that huge. I remember they came out and they hit 7th Seal, and I was just like, this is just insane. I was just like, whoa. And that was it. Boom. The next year, I started playing guitar, took lessons for a couple years, and then I get on, I want to start painting these things, and I see Scott and Jerry, and befriended those guys, and those guys pretty much coached me and brought me up to, this, and boom, there we are. What, I don't know, Donnie, what, 30 something years, 30, what is it like?
And there's still much work to do in this community, which is the best part about it. It's an evergreen thing that we are doing with these guitars. So thank you to Jerry. Thank you to Scott, Dimitri, all you guys for setting the way.
Yes. Dimitri's, Jimmy's awesome too.
I want to say something. I want to say something real fast.
Yeah.
I remember back in the Eddie Van Halen .com early days. I remember when we found Scott Smith's website. It was called, I think it was called like VanHalenGuitars.com or something like that. And may had a dash in there or something. But he had like this wall of guitars, and it was just like everything Eddie ever had. I mean, we're talking double necks, Kramers, everything. And I remember thinking, or we had talked about it on that site, that somebody had found like a picture or a video or something of the inside of 5150, and come to find out, it was Scott Smith's.
Yeah.
And we all thought it was the real stuff. We thought that was,
yes.
I remember that. People still will post pictures of Scott's collection, and in the comments on Facebook, they'll be like, oh, look at all of it. Is this inside 5150? Like, did Wolfgang take this? And it's like, that's just our guy, Scott.
That's our, I mean, geez.
It's amazing. I
still have that picture. It would take me a few minutes to find it, but I mean, you see this wall of guitars, and by the way, it's funny. We'll talk about it in a little bit, but I, Scott and I chatting, I don't know, a week or so back, and I want to go back out and see his guitars. I mean, I have, it was not, when Dweezil came out and hung out here and played all the guitars, and that was just amazing. And as a matter of fact, Donnie Dweezil messaged me a couple of days ago with some little thing, we're talking about. I'll tell you when we go offline, but that was pretty fun. But to go back and look when you start building these things, and don't even know what you're doing, and then after all this time, and you build all these guitars and you have fun, you meet all these amazing people and friends. I mean, the internet is just the best thing in the world. I look back and I'm like, whoa, this is so cool. And, I probably get about 10 to 15 messages a week from, folks, on Messenger or whatever, or Instagram, or even on my YouTube channel, which I don't check that much, they're like, hey Rob, how you doing? I check out your channel or whatever. And like, I'm building, I just got into this, and, and I always smile because that's who I was, that's that's who I was, but it's just fun to see this, like Donnie said, this thing just keeps staying alive, it's just a good time.
It's just, and another thing I'd like to bring up is the fact, like when you, Rob, and Jerry Leica and Scott Smith got started in this, it was like light years behind what we're doing now as far as the internet and all that kind of stuff. Because you guys were going off pictures in friggin' magazines or pictures off the internet, and I like video or anything like that. So, I mean, to get them as accurate as you guys have, I mean, it's like,
that's the funny thing. I always say that, back when I got into it in 96, and you had guys like Jerry and Scott and Dimitri and those, and I want to give a shout out to Dimitri. There's another guy named Richard Armstrong, and Rich is out of Vancouver, British Columbia. And Rich was another one with an amazing collection. We still chat to this day. These are the guys that had this incredible collection, and they told me the magazines to get, the circus magazines, the Hit Paraders, the Guitar Worlds, the Guitar for the Practicing Musician, Player, all those mags. Get this issue. And eBay had pretty much just kind of started kicking off in, 95, 96, 97, which is when I got into it. And okay, this is so cool. And, we're going back and forth. And the internet, had, like you said, had Halen.com, and it had Unchained World, and had this. So we could refer to that stuff. But we didn't have the Player magazines. We didn't have the Young Guitar. We did, but they weren't prevalent yet. And I'll never forget the first Young Guitar magazine, or the first Guitar Man, Eddie Van Halen. Whoa, that's what the back of the Bumblebee looks like. Whoa, we got to strip our guitars down again and redo this. That's what the back of the 1984 looks like. Strip it down and redo it. And as annoying as it sounds, that's what's kept this fun all these years. And even today, we're going to talk about the new 5150 that I have coming in. And Matt, if you're watching, he sent me some pictures, which I'll show in a few minutes. But to this day, we're still finding stuff out. I remember Donnie, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years ago, I was actually out at Nesdal's house one day. We were hanging out, and Donnie calls or whatever. He was doing something for Dave. And I remember, Steve Nowicki, Donnie Ward, these guys, they're like, Rob, I remember when, thanks so much. I was watching your stuff and seeing your collection and all this. And I'm sitting here going, whoa, that's such an honor, because these are the guys that I'm learning from today. I passed the torch many years ago. And, I'm just amazed at watching, Donnie, your relationship with Lynn Ellsworth, and just the connections that you've made. That is what keeps this stuff fun. And, there's so many folks out there that have egos and, I've been doing this longer. I don't, I'm not going to, I whatever, that young guy, I've been doing this long. I have always looked at this as, hey, we're always learning. This is fun. I'm not making money off this. I'm spending money on this shit. Let's have a good time with it. And, I'm not too proud to, not listen to somebody else who's done a little bit more research. And, it's amazing. I guess what I'm saying is, all this time, everything that's just built up and all these people who have surfaced, I'm always telling guys, when the drama kicks in, whether it's online or whatever, let's just have fun with it. Let's have time with it. Eddie is gone. His memory is gone. Van Halen is gone. Wolfgang's kicking ass. And Sammy's out with Mike kicking ass. Roth is out doing his thing, kicking ass. Let's just have fun with this and help each other, So I appreciate you, Donnie, and all the information. I mean, you've taught me so much, on this stuff, and I appreciate it. Michael McGuire, Mike and I were texting today. I got a little treat I'm going to show here in a minute. Donnie, you're going to appreciate in a little bit here when I talk about the yellow double neck.
Nice.
And half, again, this kind of stuff is, this is just cool stuff. Keep it up the good work, dude.
I remember when Donnie showed his replica, or I think it was it may have been a guitar neck at the time. It was way back when. It was way over a decade, I think, ago, that, where he had met Ed, and
Hmm.
Eddie had signed, the back of his neck.
Yeah.
And it was just, I remember seeing that for the first time, and it was just, because Donnie was one of us. He was just a regular dude. I mean, we're not superstars or rock stars or anything. And Donnie got that thing signed or whatever. And I was just like, it was as touching as it was for Donnie to be there. It was the same thing for me to be able to see that.
Yeah.
It's still surreal to me to this day to think about that day, that hanging out with Ed in his dressing room and meeting Matt Bruck, and at the pre-show catering, and Wolfgang's right here behind me eating, and I'm eating. Just
Yeah.
unbelievable experience. And yeah, those are relics of my collection that I'll cherish forever. And I thank everyone for being able to kind of live through that with me at the time, because I was a teenager when that happened.
What was your username on Halen.com? Do you remember? I
Yeah,
remember
I
a
do.
little bit.
It was Chili Beef. That was my
Yeah.
name back then.
Yes, chili beef. Yeah.
It's so awesome.
Yeah, I remember that. Funny because I never had a chance really to meet Ed and sit. I mean, I did meet him, but I never had a chance to really sit with him like that and hang out, backstage and get a picture with him. I met Matt Bruck a couple of times, and Doogie and Michael Anthony and Sammy, which has been great. Never met Al, and I never met Roth, but I met Ed in 2004 very briefly, and got him to sign a hat for me, and it was kind of cool. But it was just after all these years, that's the one thing I always wished I could have done, was actually get to spend a little bit more time with Ed and get a picture and whatever. But it is what it is. But it's funny. You look at the internet and everything that's happened, and how it's brought so many people around the world together, and all these videos that we do. And I think I've said this before, but I never forget. I remember a good friend of mine told me one time that Ed saw your collection and he thinks it's pretty freaking cool. Online, of course, and to me that was just like that little bit of like, whoa, that's neat. I mean, because by that time he wasn't turned off by that. It was more kind of, that's cool. And Donnie, I know I've seen the pictures of you where Ed signed the back of the the headstock and everything. That's pretty neat stuff.
It's all videoed somewhere. My mom took video of the whole
Oh,
thing.
you got to send that to me sometime.
Wow.
I'll have to find it. But yeah, pretty much the whole thing, start to finish. I mean, she went in, said hi, introduced, and then the camera comes out. So
That's awesome.
Wow.
yeah, it was cool.
But I tell you this, the best picture of the 2004 tour, the Reunion Sammy tour,
Yeah.
because Eddie brought the 5150 out on that tour, but it had the Charvel neck on it.
Yep.
And the guy that got the best photo of that guitar on that tour is with us. You want to tell us about that picture?
Yeah, I'm trying to find it right now, and I don't have it brought up. Well, I can
That's
tell you.
insane.
Here's Sammy signing my my picture on that. He's wearing a Patriots jersey, by the way, which is, and I'll never forget. So I took this picture. Well, my buddy Ken and I did. This is the 5150. I was right up front. I was in the golden ring. I mean, that's Ed shook my hand like 10 times in that whole thing. Where's the picture? Yeah, here. This is 2004. That's me at 32 years old. But hold on, I'll show you the picture. And there's a couple, there's a couple pictures. I mean, Ed looked a little rough there.
Sure.
But, it is what it is.
It is what it is. The times.
Hold on, I got to show you guys the picture that here it is. This is the absolute. I took this picture.
That's incredible.
And that picture is in Young Guitar magazine. And I never got any damn royalties for that.
What?
What you get when you post stuff on the internet. But anyways, yeah, I got a whole bunch of pictures of that night, and he was great. He was awesome. He was cool. He signed the hat and shook my hand, and I'll never forget. The coolest part of that night was we go in the Golden Ring, saw the sound check and everything, and that's when I met him. But they come out and they started the set list. They started the set list with Jump, and I'm literally right there, the cartoon of the little dude with peeking over the wall with the nose and in the fingers. It was literally like that. And they come out and Jump starts, and Ed walks out, and I got my hand up. He gets down on his knees and he grabs my hand. He's hung on to it for like probably 10 seconds.
Wow.
It's like, whoa. And he was playing the Sunburst Sustainer, PB Wolfgang, the special. And that was just the coolest freaking thing. And gosh, I tell you, I wish I got a, Polaroid or whatever you want to call it of that. But it's pretty neat stuff.
Was it like lightning grabbed you?
Yeah, it was. I know.
It would have been for me, I guarantee.
He had some mitts, that guy. He could really grab on to your hand if he wanted to.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. I got to jump back here real quick. We didn't go through everybody that's here. Johnny Bean. Johnny, we haven't been ignoring you, buddy. We just got sidetracked because.
Hey, Johnny.
Completely.
Love you, dude.
This is a completely impromptu video tonight. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you. Johnny Bean is the one that, again, I say this all the time. Back in 2015, I was in Chicago with my girlfriend at the time, and Johnny and I had known each other since 1999, and we were talking on the phone, and he was like, "Hey, I'm doing this, YouTube show. You got to jump on sometime." I'm like, "Yeah, cool," and boom, that was it. It's all over. So I forever owe Johnny that kudos for getting me on the online piece. So
Johnny's an OG too.
Yes.
Oh yeah. He's a legend. And we met each other at the 2019 NAMM. That's the one time we actually met each other, physically met each other. But we got to figure. Johnny, you know what I never thought of? I was in Lake Tahoe. In the Nevada, the county town called State Line last week, which is a mile from the California border, and I was told that Santa Cruz was literally close by, and I wished I'd have thought of that. I was there for 3 days. Oh, I would have met up with you, dude. I think I was within a couple hours of you, and it just didn't click because of the wedding and everything. Luis Rene, how you doing? Thank you for jumping in. I'm a huge Van Halen fan from Santo Domingo. Thanks for jumping in. South Philly Guitar Machine, what's going on? Thank you so much for liking the channel, dude. Appreciate it. Rob Snyder, that's Kurt Snyder, my good buddy Kurt, our good buddy Kurt. His son, Kurt, Robert's a great guy. Best dog on YouTube. I think you're talking about Barney, of course.
Mm-hmm.
John O'Keefe, how you doing? Jerry, what else? We're just going to jump through here. Getting into the Van Halen guitar building, painting info world is the best. Having people get excited and into questions. And I've watched them geek out, making a welcoming fan group. Oh, that's what we're trying to do. Will Neal, how are you? Eddie Man 2222. Thanks for jumping in. Okay. Johnny says Tahoe's 5 hours. Even State Line, Johnny. I thought someone told me Santa Cruz was close by. But oh well, maybe next time. I know we were like a couple hours from San Francisco, I think, where we were. But so, all right. Well, thanks everybody for jumping in. We're going to continue on. We're just kind of bouncing all over the place. Donnie, I think we should kind of. Oh gosh, this thing's like freaking. We should talk about this thing.
The heavier, the better.
1976 original. Yeah, right. Ibanez Destroyer.
It sure looks like one.
Yes, it sure does. And it's got Super 70 pickups in it. Thank you to Michael McGuire from Period Correct, my good friend, for supplying them. And the exact tuners. Now, Donnie, you can speak a little bit more on this than I can, but these I've seen different versions, but these were the original ones that were on the original 76 Destroyer?
Yeah, so all the destroyers I've seen that have stock tuners have those, and the other one people talk about are asterisk tuners. However, from what I can tell, asterisk tuners are just shallers with a different branding. You know how sometimes a tuner manufacturer will put some guitar company's logo on it. It's just a shaller with an asterisk on it. So what you want for a destroyer is the star tuner, and they're kind of tough to find, especially the 6 inline one like you have there. I found a set. Mike's had a couple sets. I got one for my replica that I made. It's over here on the wall. Wait, let me point you guys over there. There's mine right there. That's my replica. And then I have a real one, of course. So between the two of us, we have 3 sets of star tuners, and that's probably pushing it for where they are.
They're definitely not they're not easy to find.
Yeah.
And this is a guitar that I know Donnie made one for Dave Nesdahl back.
Mm-hmm.
What, 5 years ago, Donnie? 4 or 5 years ago?
Yeah.
Now 3, I think, just over 3. And I know,
5, I think.
yeah, this has been one that I've wanted for a long time. And, you know, I mean, the real 76s are going for over 10 grand now. I mean, anywhere from 5 to 12 grand. I mean, depending. It is. And, you know, there's a couple more projects I want Donnie to do for me down the road, but this was definitely one that I really wanted. And I mean, I'm just blown away. It's incredible. Now, what do they call this, Donnie? The sandwich?
I call it a pancake body. So in the 70s, Gibson was trying to cut costs. And one way they did that is use thinner pieces of mahogany and glue them face to face to get that thick blank. And Ibanez was more or less copying exactly what Gibson did in every case. So therefore, the destroyers also had 2-piece, thick bodies. And then it's also several pieces wide. So that body is 6 pieces of ash. The neck is 3 pieces up the middle, and then headstock wings. So it's made in the same exact fashion that the real ones were, based on my own real destroyer that I've had for years now.
I would say that, I don't think you can get, it's crazy. Years ago, people, years ago, due to copyright, restrictions and things like that, you couldn't call up, Ibanez, or you couldn't call up Fender or whoever and say, hey, make me a copy of this.
Yeah.
You could, but they'd probably say, no, we don't do that.
Right.
So when you get into this stuff all these years ago, and, now we live in an age where pretty much anything can be replicated to literally exact specs. My goal was to have this guitar, and it's funny, Donnie, I kind of went back and forth. Alan Garber, our good friend Alan, I think he's got a real destroyer, and it's the white one that had. And I went back and forth. I'm like, do I want this one? Do I want the white version? Do I want to do the Chris Holmes red beat up version? And I came this close to asking to do that, because I don't think anybody's really done a replica of that. Maybe
I've done one, and there's another one that Nick just wrapped up that he's just sent back today that I'm doing for a mutual friend of ours. Just one of those things on the side that you do for a friend. But I'd like to do more. It's the same thing as what you have, but just plugged a couple holes for the controls, and obviously the relic. The relic's very cool on that, and obviously Nick nails it every time. So
Nick's awesome.
Yeah.
Everybody knows we're talking about Nick Amendolara, the kid. Nick's a great friend. I haven't talked to Nick in a while. I got to reach out to him, actually. I was just thinking about him the other day. This guitar, like I said, is something that I've wanted for a long time. I have the Shark. Actually, my Shark guitar, Donnie also made, and Nick painted. That's great, and I love it. And actually, Dweezil played that guitar. He actually really liked that. And I sent a picture of this guitar, Donnie, when it came in to Dweezil, and he's like, "Oh, if I'm ever up there again, I want to check that out."
Yeah.
And, which is kind of cool. But this is about as close as you can get to the real thing. I know, and Donnie, you can chat about this for a second if you want.
Yeah.
There was some theory that the originals were made out of Carina wood, but then there was the Japanese sen was another version, which is kind of a version of ash, correct? And this is an ash version, which is as close as you can get to the Japanese sen, correct?
I've been trying to get real domestic or Japanese sen imported for years, and everyone who says they can get it falls through. So in the meantime, I'm using Northern Ash, and it's very similar. I mean, the weight, the look, the way it finishes, it's extremely similar. I'll say generally, domestic Northern Ash is just a hair heavier than Sen from the ones I've made compared to my real one. But if you get a light piece of ash to make one, with domestic ash, it can be as light or lighter than Sen. But anyway, it's the best compromise I've found. Certainly look-wise, it looks pretty much identical to Sen.
I can't tell you how many comments I got on this when I posted it when it came in. Just amazing. It's crazy. Now, Donnie had actually white speed knobs on it, which I really, really, really liked. And I asked Donnie, I was like, hey, I've seen different versions of it with kind of these. And he said, well, it kind of bounced back and forth. And I almost kept them on, but I saw a picture of a guy that had these knobs on his 76 Destroyer, which might not have been totally original. But I just, I'm like, I want to go with these. I just kind of like the look of it a little bit better. But they kind of had a mixture, right, Donnie?
Well, so from what I've seen, it's hard to tell because these were workhorse guitars that people swap parts and pickups and everything. So it's hard to tell what for sure was original. What I understand,
lawsuit guitar. I mean, it was basically a lawsuit guitar.
Yeah, and at the time and for years thereafter, people didn't consider them to be super valued. It's only today where we recognize that they're the magic behind Ed's Early Tone, and Ace Frehley, and all these guys. But so anyway, that color of knob, but like a speed knob, is what I see a lot.
Yeah.
Ed's, for whatever reason, when you see pictures of Ed's, it had white speed knobs. Now, we don't know why. I've never seen another example. My theory is maybe one broke in shipping on the boat, and whoever imported the guitar just said, "Oh, screw it," and put 3 white speed knobs on. But that's why when I made yours, I used the white, because in the fashion of Edward, I copied what he had. But yeah, the majority of them had something like what you have on there now. Yeah.
Well, like I said, I may go back, but I just want to say, if you want a pair of these, we got the guy on the show right now with a big beard. By the way, Hef, when you posted that thing on Facebook back a month or two back, you're like, "Oh, I shaved," and you're like, "Psych!" No, I didn't. I was laughing. I'm like, "Whoa, you shaved the beard!" But no, you can't shave that, dude. That is the typical Billy Gibbons look right there, man. You got to wear the Billy Gibbons hat, man. You really.
I got to find one.
And then you got to get the guitar that spins around. You know what's on?
I don't have anything but Van Halen replicas and Kramers and stuff.
And I want to get into a couple of your guitars in a few minutes too.
One thing I want to bring up really quickly about the Ibanez Destroyer, and nobody ever really talks about this, but every time I see one, it's what I look at, is the headstock of that guitar is the birth of all of Edward's Kramers.
Yes.
Yes.
And
that's the birthplace, guys.
I can speak to that specifically because Paul Unkert, and I'm sure he's told you this, Rob, Paul told me that he actually borrowed Ed's Sharp guitar specifically so he could trace the headstock and use that as the template for the Kramer necks.
Yep. Keep chatting. I'm going to go get my Kramer ad, Frankie, that you made the neck on. You got a minute just to chat for a second?
Sure. Yeah. So Paul and I, and Rob's talked to Paul a lot too. And I don't know if you've ever talked to Paul, Jeremy, but he's just a wealth of knowledge, and he remembers so much about those days. So when I was talking to him about it, we tend to, just like I do on these shows, we tend to meander through different topics. But yeah, I had always thought, like you said, that they were connected, that Ibanez Destroyer headstock was kind of the origin of the Kramer necks. But he told me pretty much point blank, Ed specifically requested if he's going to have a custom headstock, what do you want, is what Kramer was asking him. He said, well, do this one. And he gives him the Shark, and then Paul takes it home, traces it out, and cuts that neck out. And when Rob gets back, we can talk about kind of that process. We've touched on it before on the show, but it's pretty interesting to see how it all kind of meanders and ties back into each other, that his older guitars and his newer guitars, and it made a big impact on the way guitars were built in the 1980s, and it's created its own style that survives today.
Well, I know one thing I found kind of interesting was just that I think it was at the very beginning of him being at Kramer. They made Edward a striped Voyager, I believe it was, and
Mhm.
it was like perfect.
A shark
And it
inspired
had that,
Voyager.
that headstock design or whatever. And because it wasn't relict or whatever, Edward hated it.
Yes.
He didn't
Yeah.
care for it.
Paul told me that they made two of them, in fact, and one of them never even got to Edward because the first one they presented, he was just like, absolutely not. So that's when we get what Rob's fetching right now. We get Ed going back to the factory and saying, let's do it my way. So they grab a Strat style body and use the same neck that they had for that shark inspired Voyager. And they put it together with that. And that's the birth of the Kramer ad guitar in the famous poster, which you have on your wall.
Sure.
So, yeah, I mean, it's really interesting, and that's why when we were talking earlier about how this community continues to be fresh and interesting, there's all these little nuggets of information that seem just basic at first, but when you really dig under the surface, they all tie back into each other, and it's like this big web of, it's like a conspiracy web that you
Right.
can tie all back to itself.
I don't know when
Absolutely.
I don't know if you mentioned it, Donnie or Jeremy, but the Kramer, the vintage Kramer site has this guy Steve V.
Yeah.
You know, and we all know who that is. And there's pictures, and I have them. I don't have them handy, but of the shark-like body they built with this neck, on it. And the interesting thing is, I showed a couple pictures back, I don't know, a couple shows ago. I'm not going to get into it right now because I don't want to show these. I'll show you guys later. But Ed hated that body. It was not what he wanted, but he loved the neck.
Yeah.
And that is why the original neck, like this one, has a gloss finish on it.
Yeah.
And the body does not. And really, it's really, really kind of cool, the history behind this. So Ed took the neck, and Donnie made this neck, Donnie and Chris Locke, I think. And I know, Donnie, you made it. And this is a Locke body. It's the Walker style body. And Michael McGuire, whale tail Floyd Rose with no logo, no chrome finish on it. It's just a basic steel. And this is a great guitar. We found out recently that this is what the back actually looks like. So I had to strip the back down and redo it. And it had 6 bolts in it. And the serial number is actually B1297.
Wow.
Serial number.
Yep.
So I had to redo that. So Mr. McGuire made me a custom neck plate. And this is a great guitar. And there's not a lot on this. And it was, this guitar was given to Rudy. It had all the signature stuff on it. And then Rudy, it ended up in Mick Marr's hands. And years ago, I was always told that there was a big fight with Mick and the X, and the guitar got destroyed. And it didn't get destroyed. It's in good hands, and you will see it again one day.
Yes.
Sweet.
Perfect working order.
Yeah, it's out there.
Floyd on it. The whale tail is off. It's a different Floyd, but this is what it looks like. And Donnie, you nailed the headstock on this thing.
That is killer.
Yep.
We had good reference. It's when you know how to. Well, I'll say this about the headstocks, because it's when you start to make these replica guitars and you're going off photographs. Photos can be very deceiving for the actual shape of something. You tilt that camera a little bit, or if it's not perfectly head on and the right conditions, it's going to lie. So what helps us with these necks is how they were manufactured, which is starting with a Strat headstock Kramer pacer neck, plug up the holes, add the wood, reshape it.
Yeah.
Thanks to that fact alone, we're able to recreate and force that headstock, that image, to be straight on, because we can line up where the holes were. And we can, tilt everything back in place, and thus you get an accurate headstock. And it's only all of these coincidences coming together that we're able to reliably make those headstocks to the level of accuracy we have. And it's fun, man. I love the investigative work that goes into it.
Oh, it is. It's so much fun. The one thing that I need to do, I would say, now that I got now that I finally realized that the headstock had a gloss finish on it, the body did, because I never knew that. The one thing that I realized that I do need to do is, these are Gatto crown heads, but if you look, they're not 90 degrees; they're 45-degree tab. And on Ed's, they were
straight down.
Yeah. And I think straight out to the side, actually. They were straight out to the side, according to the pictures that I saw of the real one. They were the typical Gatto 90-degree tabs. So that's one thing that I need to do. But then I'm going to have to refill the damn holes and everything. It's like, it's a pain in the ass. So again, we're back to this. It's never a dull moment.
Yeah. There's always work to be done. Thanks to the evergreen well of information coming out. It's like the whole Rockinger Bridge thing on the double necks that we talked about, I think, on the last show I was on, where, you know, Paul swore to me up and down, we used a shallow bridge on that double neck. And that was true of the red one, but the yellow one had a one-off Rockinger wraparound bridge. And I did some investigation.
There were two.
Yes, exactly. The yellow one was the first one, and it had a brass Rockinger wraparound, like two-pneumatic style bridge. So I got in touch with Dieter at Rockinger and the people, the original manufacturing, and they're like, yeah, we remember that one. We made that. So it's like all this, not that many were made, but all of the double necks that were made using a shallower wraparound based on Paul's memory. Realistically, if those guys want to be accurate, they all got to go back and get their guitars out and get a new bridge on there. So, but it's fun. It keeps it interesting. It keeps it fresh. And I don't think it'll ever get old thanks to that.
One thing I want to talk about, just really quickly, I just want to touch on it just really quickly, in regards to George Felice being on Rob's channel, because I was just trying to think of that from all different angles about, well, if he knew this was going to Eddie, blah, 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 he would have had pictures, or he would have known, blah, blah, blah. When he made these bodies and he striped them and he painted them, and we've seen stacks of those at, 5150.
Yeah.
He didn't know what was going to be popular or wasn't. Yep. Eddie just picked it out, and it was just, that was the one or whatever. So, I just kudos to George and just his great painting ability. Rest assured, he painted the 5150, the 84, and the Hoffer Teacher, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's a wellspring of knowledge, that guy, and he's funny. Yep. And funny to boot.
It was really difficult to get him on the show. I mean, George and I have been friends on Facebook for a long time, and we've chatted back and forth and liked each other's pictures and some messages and stuff. And then about a year ago, we started kind of texting back and forth, and I was like, hey, we got to get you. I want to get you on my show. And he's like, yeah. And he was actually supposed to come visit me at my house here at Dojo 5150. He was actually going to come here and hang out, but it worked out where he wasn't able to make it up, so he didn't. So he actually reached out to me again, like I said, a month and a half ago, and he's like, hey, I can't make it out. I want to do your show, and let's talk about some different things. And I'm like, well, let me know. Oh, Johnny Bean just says, gotta run. Rock on, dudes. Great job. Hef and Don. Johnny, we'll talk to you soon, buddy. I hope you're
Love
still.
You, Johnny.
Yeah, thanks for stopping by, man.
Thanks for jumping by. We'll talk soon. I was, I'm like, let's put this together. And I said, is there anything you don't want me to ask you? He's like, nah, have at it, dude. Ask me anything you want. I'm thinking how I'm going to say this. I have no words for how awesome it felt to have a guy on my show that made or painted, Ed's guitars, and the stories he had were incredible. I do have a couple theories that I'm not going to, and I think, Donnie, you know what I'm talking about, but I'm not going to get into on this show as far as was the 5150 basswood, was it ash, whatever. I have my own beliefs on that. I don't care what anybody says. I mean, it was 1982, and people just don't remember. But we'll go off of that, and that's all I'm going to say.
If I can add one thing to that as a guitar builder, and to kind of keep the diplomacy to, because I know people are very serious about this. To Rob's point about how is anyone going to remember? We know ash bodies were made in some of Ed's guitars. We know ash was used, and we know basswood was used. So we know both of them were used at some point. So the fact that someone can't immediately recall which was which is understandable. So if one person says X and you believe it's Y, there's plausible deniability for that still, and no one's lying, no one's saying anything stupid. So,
well, the other thing I want to bring up really quickly, and me and my friend Brian Cazell, got to give him a plug. I kind of threw this at him, when I knew that Rob was doing the show with George. And one thing he brought to my knowledge that I think in today's now age with the iPhones and all that kind of stuff, we get complacent because we think that this stuff has always been around, and it ain't.
Yeah.
You could not just do a video with your friend like that.
Yeah.
Or we couldn't do these chats like we do now. And he made me realize that and understand that, when George was painting the 5150 or the Hot for Teacher or the 84 or whatever, he did not know that Eddie was going to like that stripe design or whatever, because they were all random. Yeah. It's not like he sat down and said, all right, I'm going to do it this way or that way or whatever. He just did these at random, and if they were chosen, then they were. That's great. He was told what to do, and he did what he did. And I think he did a great job.
Yep.
And I think he's fantastic. And that's all I have to say about that.
Yeah. No, he is. He was great. He was awesome. And we're going to talk about the Rockinger here in a second, but I do want to say one thing. And I may lose some fans on this, and I'm at the age now. I'm going to be 52 in October. I don't care. But I'm at a point now where I'm just having fun. So to Donnie's point about people don't remember, let's go to the source. Now, Donnie, hear this out. This was the Two Dorks interview back in 2004. Listen to this. Now, when I get done playing this, you guys tell me what you think.
What did Wolfie get for Christmas from Santa Claus?
Oh, man. I gave him my original striped guitar. That was, I got 3 of them.
The 1984.
I gave him the backup one from the 1984 tour. The original strings from that tour are still on it.
Nope.
I used to tape and roll it up to put picks on.
Yeah.
The picks, you couldn't even pull them off.
They were so stuck on.
Well, they've been 20 years.
And that was the first time you had touched it since the end of that tour.
I opened the case. The only thing I changed was I got a pattern on this drop to D on the low E string.
Yeah.
I added one of those, but I left the same string.
What was his reaction when he opened it?
Oh, he cried.
Yeah.
He just freaked.
It sounds like, man, you guys.
So here's a perfect example.
That's the old Dwyer and Michaels interview.
Yeah, exactly. I have all those interviews. Now, Eddie's talking about the 1984 Kramer. We're talking about the 1984 Kramer that was painted with a 5150, probably at the same time, whether it was George Felice or somebody else. We're not 100% sure. We think it was George, and I agree with you, Hev. Well, that guitar had the 2-star headstock on it, which Donnie made me another. We sit here all night, and I'll pull out guitars that Donnie and Craig and everybody else has made me, and love all these guys. But that neck was taken off of that guitar after the 1984 tour and put on a Hot for Teacher-ish looking body and donated to the Hard Rock Cafe in 1985 with Ed and Val, and that's all over the internet. And Ed said that this is my backup guitar. Well, no, it isn't. That's the backup neck.
Yeah.
That guitar. And if you listen to the YouTube videos of Zeke Clark, who found that body, and Ed's testing, there's two parts to that. The body was laying there with no neck on it because the neck was on the Hard Rock giveaway guitar with the 2 stars with a backwards black stripe and with a little bit of more hook on the headstock. Zeke put that guitar together, and we don't know if he painted that headstock, which was called the replacement neck, which had the chrome hardware with a black nut, and then they put a Black Floyd on. Anyways, my point is, Ed says that it wasn't touched since 1984. Actually, that guitar was played in 1986 with an A bass string on it for Good Enough, and it was taken on the 1988 OU812 Monsters of Rock tour because Zeke shows it in Japan backstage.
Yep.
And there's a photo shoot of Ed with that neck on there. So the guitar was played, although there's no video footage of Ed playing it in OU812, but it was on the tour. I would love to find video footage of Ed playing the 1984 Kramer during the OU812 Monsters of Rock tour. I have not seen any pictures of it yet, but
I have a photo of it. I looked at every photo of Ed playing in '88 for reasons we can talk about another time, but there is 1 or 2 photos of him playing the '84 guitar.
Donnie, you got to show me that. I've been searching for that for years.
I'll pull it up.
My point is, you're talking to Eddie Van Halen, and he can't remember. And this is not a slam to Ed at all. All these people, well, Ed said he did this, and so said they didn't paint this and did this. You're talking to people that don't geek out about this stuff like the 3 of us do, and many more. We are the history buffs, and we go back and we do the research. You can't go off the horse's mouth for some of this stuff because the horse forgot what it was doing back in 1982.
Yes.
Or 88 or 86 or 84. And that's not a slam. In Eddie's defense, and we're all doing this for Ed, and kudos to Wolf. And this is not a slam against that. This is Ed always admitted he's looking forward. He's not looking back at what he did yesterday. He's always writing. When they went on tour with Gary and then Sammy came back, he always did stuff different because he wasn't sitting around like we are geeking out on all this stuff. We geek out on this. We are the knowledge here.
Yeah.
Not Eddie Van Halen, not George Felice, not these people. They know all this stuff and they did all this stuff, but we are the ones that do the research. So you have to trust the research of the geeks that are still doing this today, not the people, unfortunately, that did it back in the day because they were always looking forward.
Yeah. And you need someone who's a respectful arbiter of the history to take into account all the different versions of the stories and coalesce that into something that actually makes sense. Because everybody's story is going to have a bit that they forget or a bit that they aren't quite telling quite right, or for whatever reason, if they have ulterior motives or they just don't remember. So you have to pull together as much as possible and make sense of it. It's not something that just you remembered and that's it.
Right.
Anyone who studies human psychology, even for a few minutes, knows how fickle the human memory and imagination can be, and that's why truth and fact it drifts over time. So that's why, to Rob's point, it's why it's important that we have these discussions with these people. All those phone calls I had with Len Ellsworth and with Paul Unkert and all these people, so that we can put it down and talk amongst each other. What do you think about this? This is what Len told me. This is what Paul told me, and then we can kind of get closer to the truth. And with Ed, it's just like it's a Herculean task with Van Halen stuff, more so than regular history, because it's just all over the place and very convoluted and confusing, but it's fun. So that's why we're here talking about it.
Man, I want to say this real quick, and I think Edward said this in an interview at one time or another, and the older I get, the more I find it's true. He said, like the windshield of your car is like the biggest point of view, right? You can see basically kind of everything through that. The rearview mirror is like the smallest point of view. So the stuff back there, don't worry about. It's the stuff up here that matters. I think he may have said that. I can't remember, but
Well, yeah, I mean, when you're driving a car, you're not looking in the rear view mirror as much as you're looking at the windshield. Eddie was always looking to the windshield because he's always building, he's always writing. We are the guys that look in the rear view mirror.
Absolutely.
Like this stuff. So that's where you got to be a little bit careful. The old saying, if you want the truth, go to the horse's mouth. Well, that's true. But sometimes the horse's mouth, doesn't remember what was going on because we're geeking out over this stuff.
Yeah.
But my point on that whole thing was, folks who watching the show, have an open mind. Don't just say because this person said this is what. Okay, that's great. But we're talking in 2025 to things that happened in 1982. And they, for all those years, were not thinking about that. We always have been, and we still are. Now, that is not to discredit anything in any way, shape, or form. That is based off of pictures, interviews, videos on YouTube, and magazines, and everything that we still study. And I mean, the internet is your friend. I mean, the internet. I mean, that is exactly how this can be rebuilt to exact specs of the real thing. That is perfect example of how what we've done. I mean, it's almost scary. It's almost scary. It's like recreating. It's like cloning in so many ways, and that's supposed to be fun. You know what I mean? It's supposed to be fun. Yeah. So we talked about the Rockinger and the yellow double neck, and I'm going to give Michael McGuire a little shout out. Donnie, you got a guitar. You got a Pacer with a Rockinger, right?
I do, and I've made a couple actually. Believe it or not, as horrible as they are.
So this is a 1981 Kramer Pacer with the lawsuit headstock. Believe it or not, it doesn't have crown heads on it, but you can tell these are the tabs that the Kramer Ad Frankie should have. The tabs, not the heads, but same tuners. This neck is like paper freaking thin. It is so freaking thin. It's almost weird. Donnie, Steve Nowicki was like, "Damn, Rob, that neck is thin."
Yeah, I was the first dibs on that guitar. I was offered by the person who you bought it from to buy it first, and I was like, I already had a Pacer, and because of what was done to the fretboard, I was like, I'll pass. But I'm glad that you picked it up because it's a cool example.
I had my eyes on this thing for so long, and I did, and the guy that was, selling it is a good friend of ours, of course.
Yes,
but
is it like Ibanez thin?
It's pretty thin because it was a regular Pacer neck, and someone shaved the front of the fretboard flat, so it took a lot of thickness off of it.
It's super thin.
Show them up by the heel on the front, where you can see where the side dots, the front of it, front facing. You can see the side dots are breaking into the fretboard there on the side. So
yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because much.
I'm like the thinner the better,
Now, Donnie, here's one for you.
Yeah. Yep.
It's the 5150 width.
They started pretty thin, and then the 5150 was even thinner after everything Paul did to it. So I've been experimenting with making them thinner and thinner, and I got to the point where you have to modify the tuners to make it work. So wow. I might back off of that a little bit, but Ed's was probably that thin. The headstock, I mean.
Wow.
Yeah, well, Steve Nowicki, our good friend Steve, has done some shaving on some of my headstocks, and it's incredible. And you can tell because the tuning pegs are sticking out. Yeah. They're like my finger. It's crazy. But
that guy's a great player, by the way.
Oh,
Steve,
he's amazing.
Oh, the best.
I love his videos.
Yeah,
just a cool guy.
Yeah, he's a great guy. Yeah, Steve's a good guy. He's been out here a bunch of times. He actually just texted me back yesterday. I hadn't heard from him in a couple of months, and he texted me yesterday, and we were kind of chatting about maybe getting together again. Steve was at my wedding, actually, along with my other friend, Matt, and we'll talk about Matt in a few minutes. But I just want to mention the Rockinger Bridge. Ed had the Rockinger Bridge. We're not, Mike McGuire and Donnie we could do a whole show on just that bridge and how it came about and how Kramer, let them go and then went with Floyd and everything. The timing was just perfect. But What's interesting is the multi-tape guitar, the purple Kramer Pacer that Eddie played during the show at the Roxy with Alan Holdsworth back in 1982. And it was before the Kramer, it had the lawsuit headstock like this one does, a piece of black tape over the logo. It was before he put all the tape, the electrical tape on, the orange, the white, the yellow, the blue. It was a purple Pacer, and Donnie, I used to have one.
I know, I remember.
I wish I still had that. The real one, I know, right?
Yeah.
I remember that guitar.
Oh, I wish I never got rid of that. It had a that had a Rockinger on it. Now, Donnie, you have one. They're not my favorite, but I will say they actually, they're not bad.
They kind of work. If a Floyd Rose didn't exist, they'd be a great alternative. But the Floyd just does it a little bit better.
Right. This particular bridge in this picture right here now belongs to me. Thanks you to Michael McGuire. I just purchased it yesterday or 2 days ago, and it will be here on Friday. And this particular bridge will be going on my yellow double neck because now, Donnie, I'm going to let you take the lead here for a second. So these are the two Rockinger. Well, Ed had a white Pacer too. We're not sure if it was his, probably was. But the two Kramers that Ed had that he played live were the multi-tape guitar here on the left and the yellow double neck, the Secrets guitar, the Cathedral Secrets 82 Diver Down tour guitar. Other than that, I think those were the only two Rockinger guitars Ed played live because they were very short-lived. Yes. There's photo shoots of him with a white Pacer with it and there's a couple others. But the whole Rockinger thing was booming, and then all of a sudden, boom, it was very short-lived, and Floyd came out, and then it was it. But when I built this yellow double neck, I'm not going to go get it now. It's just too much of a pain in the butt. I did not know that the 12-string was a Rockinger, and yes. Donnie taught me that. I thought it was a Schaller Badass.
Yes.
Wraparound. So that's what's on mine.
Well, that's what I thought too, because I asked Paul Unkert, and that's what he told me. But when I did so much research, Googling for different Schaller 456, 455, all the different versions of it, I could not find anything that quite looked like that bridge. So I got some really good photos from Chris Gill. He did me a favor and got the photos that were taken for the Guitar Aficionado magazine. He got some really high-res images of specific spots of those photographs, and it showed me, like, for sure, this is not a Schaller. So I did some more research. Now, I'm going to – I recently went to Germany. My girlfriend's German, and I spent some time kind of digging into this. And Schaller is a historically German company. Rockinger is a historically German company. And Kramer was getting all of their hardware at the time, except for the Godot stuff, which came later, but originally they were getting all of their hardware from Schaller, and that's how they got involved with Rockinger. So it made sense to me. Well, let me just ask the Rockinger guy, see. Well, Chris Gill actually gave me his email address. So I sent an email to Dieter Goldsdorf, the original owner of Rockinger guitars. And there's a photo of Ed and Dieter where Dieter's giving him that Star guitar. That was a Rockinger as well. The guitar was a Rockinger and featured the Rockinger tremolo. Anyway, so I sent an email to this guy, Dieter, and I'm like, hey, I know, how you doing? Thanks for your time. I had some questions about this bridge. Do you know anything about it? And like 20 minutes later in Germany, so time difference and everything, this guy sends me back a reply in perfect English. And hello, yes, thank you for reaching out. We remember these bridges. We made some of them for XYZ. By the way, here's the original manufacturer that made them for us. They're still making parts. Here's their email. So just like in one swoop, I'm like, oh shit, I guess I saw that one. But I made a few of those bridges. I have one from a batch that I made that I might bring out and show off. But it's a very simple object. But if you want your double neck to be absolutely spot on accurate, there's no way to get one of those unless you compromise with a Schaller or a Badass or whatever, what have you. But that's another example of one of these details that has kind of been lost to time. Even Paul, the guy who made the real one, didn't remember, So But yeah, I have a double neck that's waiting on me to find an appropriate aluminum neck for the 12-string side before I finish it off. But that all those the Rockinger and all that stuff is lined up for me to finish that off, because you know how I am with getting hardware accurate.
Well, it's funny because Donnie, you're the one that. So I'm not going to go get mine. I mean, it's right over there, but I'm going to wait until I have the new Rockinger on it. Yeah. I've always wanted to put it on there. What I found was it's got the Schaller Badass on it for the 12-string, which I'm going to leave for now. But as far as the 6-string, I had I don't even know what model it is. It's a gold Washburn style bridge that it pivots like a Floyd. It's got the two posts, and it looks the part. And when I made that guitar back, when Chris made the neck and everything, and Scott gave me the 12-string neck, which is painted like an aluminum neck, but it's not a real aluminum neck, which is fine.
I've done that too.
Yeah, I mean, no, it looks fine. It plays great and everything. I decided, I'm just going to go with this kind of look-alike Rockinger for the 6-string, and I did that. And it's been fine all these years. And then Donnie comes out and he makes one last year. I was like, oh gosh, come on, really? So I'm like, all right, one of these days I'm going to get a Rockinger. So Michael McGuire, Period Correct Guitar Parts, gets this, brass Rockinger, and it's even got the right nut and everything. And I'm like, I kept looking at it, and finally I'm like, all right, I'm going to do it. Boom. So I pulled the trigger a few days ago. So I called my luthier. I could make it work. I could put it on, and I could, fill the holes and line it up. But I'm just a little bit with a project like this. And stay tuned, guys, because you're going to see it. With a project like this, I want to do it right. I can set guitars up and I can do a lot of stuff, but when it comes to switching out a bridge and filling stuff, and I just want to, if I'm going to spend this kind of money on a real Rockinger, I want to make sure it's right, because that's a great guitar. So I called my luthier yesterday and I said, hey, I got a real Rockinger coming in. The neck has a Floyd nut. Can you fill it and put a regular nut on it? And then I have the Rockinger nut that's going to come out. Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. I haven't seen one of those in forever. But he goes, I'll fill the 2 Floyd style posts. You can, I'll paint it yellow. You won't see, and then I'll install a little, I don't know what you call it, the bridge nut, I guess you could say, Donnie, and the little 2 pivots go in, and then that's what makes it do this. Yeah. I'm going to have him do it because I want to have it right. So I think other than the 12-string wraparound, it should be a lot more accurate. So
are you using a real beak neck for the 6-string side, or is it a replica?
It's a real, actually, believe it or not, that is the one thing. It's a real beak neck, but it's got the Floyd nut. I just clamps on because, but I'm going to have him fill that and then just put a regular nut in it. I'm going to have him do the backwards, version of it. Go backwards, not make a regular to a Floyd, but make a Floyd to a regular.
Use a brass nut in that, because that's what they had.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. That's what I'm going to do.
Basically, no string slot. It's just sitting on the nut, and then the lock keeps it in line.
Right. It's funny because as cool as it is to have that for our replicas, you look at that and then you look at a Floyd and you're like, oh gosh, I can totally see why the Floyd was the choice,
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of reasons. Like the fine tuning system, which I think was Ed's main draw to this, is the ability to fine tune the strings once you're clamped. It was very finicky. You need a lot of force to turn those fine tuner screws because there's not a lot of leverage. It's just like a little thing that holds the string and it pivots. So you have like no leverage. You're like really cranking that screw to turn it at all.
Right.
And then at the nut, the lock for the strings, you crank those screws down too hard, it'll just pop that string. So it's like it's a very fine balance to like setting it up properly. And once it's set up, it works like 90% as good as a Floyd does. But that's why, getting 90% of the way there, but having these inconvenience factors is worth way less than being 100% of the way there and having it easier to set up like the Floyd was. So like you say, it makes total sense that they ultimately went with the Floyd.
Yeah, no, I agree. And, it's it's one of those bridges that I would probably normally, under normal conditions, not want anything to do with, you know. But when it comes to just what we do, you can't not have it, you know. So anyway, stay tuned because my yellow Kramer double neck is going to be a little bit closer to Donnie's. And like I said, you know, one of these days, if I ever find the wraparound version of the Rockinger, I'll do that. But that was total news to me. It really was.
Yeah. Well, I can probably make you one down the line when you're ready.
Yeah. Well, actually, I mean, that should be a pretty simple fix, right, Donnie? I mean, the two posts it should line up with. Right?
It'll go right on the existing post. It should anyway. You might have to get different screws that can tighten and clamp it down, but you might already have those from the Badass. It might already be set up for it. Anyway, we can talk about that down the line.
Yep, definitely. I'm going to jump in the chat here real quick. We've been kind of neglecting you guys.
The crazy thing is the Rockinger was known as the Edward Van Halen tremolo.
Yeah.
That was the plan, yeah.
Yep, I have the actual piece of paper that says that, the original one, which actually, Donnie, came with that guitar that I got from our friend.
Nice. That's so cool.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Not many were made with that literature.
Hef, I got a question for you. Luis Rene Ventura Cruz says, how can I contact Hef to buy a set of sneakers? Let's say gift a set of sneakers.
Hit me up in Messenger on Facebook.
Very good. Let's see. Love the channel. I've learned a lot about EVH from watching. Thanks. You're very welcome. Let's see. Jerry Leica says, I'm officially a drummer. Yeah, we always know Jerry's a drummer, but he makes the best guitars.
I'm a drummer too, originally.
John O'Keefe says, I was just playing Black and Blue and Seventh Seal. Very cool. Let's see. Getting into the Van Halen guitar stuff. We kind of neglected these guys for a while. So have you guys heard the new interview that was uploaded a couple weeks ago? It's from 91. Will Neal says. I'm not quite sure, Will. Probably, but I can't say it didn't escape me. Anyman 2222, I'm here. Let's see what else we got. Why doesn't anyone sell a replica crown head tuner knobs? Feel like there's definitely a market for them, especially considered Gatto only supplies the tuners to FMIC directly. Dan Funk says, good question. I think a lot of this stuff is going to start surfacing. I know Floyd Rose is making the FRT ones again. They're in the process of doing that, and that's common knowledge because it was at the NAMM show. So stand by.
One thing else I want to drop in real quick about Floyd is when EVH released the very expensive Bumblebee replica with the first model Floyd or whatever, that year, I think it was during COVID, I believe, they were supposed to release that Floyd to the public, but it just never come to fruition because of COVID and just the lack of available stuff to be able to get or whatever. But they were supposed to.
That's what I've heard too.
You know, that was supposed to come out, but because of COVID, it got killed.
Yeah,
which a lot of stuff did.
Yeah, you're right, Hef. A lot of stuff got killed. A lot of stuff got put on the back burner. And unfortunately, when it got put on the back burner, it got forgotten about.
Right.
It's a great point.
Well, Floyd moved their headquarters to half an hour from me, and I haven't been up there yet. But apparently you can just walk into the showroom and buy Floyd nuts and bridges right there. So I might go down there and talk to Andy sometime.
Go talk to Mr. Papicio for me and tell Sarah I said hi.
I will.
One thing about Floyd that I would like to bring up that I think is very, very cool is the Floyd Rose 1000, which is available on a lot of guitars. A lot of the Charvels had Floyd Rose 1000s on them. They looked like the original, but they were manufactured somewhere else. They're just as good because I've used them over the years, but you can buy those directly from Floyd Rose now.
Yeah.
Used to, you had to be an OME dealer to get
Yes.
those, but now you can buy those directly from Floyd.
And at the time that you could buy them only OEM, they didn't sell them OEM because I had access to this stuff. You had to buy them in parts and put them together.
Correct.
So manufacturers would have to buy each individual part and then assemble the unit, which is why they were cheaper, basically. But yeah, it's really good to see that they're doing that because it's a nice in-between option that a lot of people want. They don't want to shell out $350 or whatever for an OFR, but you can get the 1000 and it's close to as good.
Sure.
All right, let's see. Can you ask Donnie what he knows about the dragon snake?
A little bit. It was a Charvel Explorer bolt-on body. We have a catalog photos from '78 where they were making these. Had a Telecaster control route. Ed played it with the famed Dan Electro neck and at the Day on the Green 1978 in that configuration. And then the next time we see him with it, between the first and second tour, John Sterry, who is a mutual friend of Ed and Terry Kilgore, who is another guitar slinger from Pasadena, the Pasadena area. This guy John Sterry was a cabinet maker, carver, painter, incredible artist. Carves the body up into the shape that we know, and Ed reassembles it, plays it, little bit on the first leg of the '79 tour, and then that's pretty much it. I mean, very short-lived history, but incredible guitar. Just it shows how much Edward cared about the presentation of his guitars and them as art pieces. And this, while it didn't end up being the aesthetic he kind of stuck with, it was something that he was clearly experimenting with for I want my guitars to really make an impact. So that's why you get things like the Shark and then his famed paint schemes, but also things like this.
Yeah.
It's a cool one. And I think a lot of people write it off as ugly because it's just so different, but it really is a beautiful piece of art.
Absolutely.
And Rob's, of course. Rob's always got the best.
He does.
Jeff did that, right?
Yeah, Jeff did this, and
Where'd he get that stuff?
tuners.
Yeah, dude. Oh, is that with the tabs that you stuck in place, or are those actual double tabs?
These are the tabs I stuck in place.
Right.
Aren't the real ones. My Shark has the real ones, but yeah, I did a little trick on these. But at first glance, they're not too bad, huh?
Yeah,
It looks great.
I was just looking at photos of this the other day, and I'm actually now under the impression that they were not double tabs, but that it's just the hole from the old double tabs that used to be on
Oh, okay.
double tab, which for you is easy enough. You just take the screw out and you're done.
Yeah.
But I can show you the picture that convinced me of that and see what you think. But yeah, I mean,
So you can see John Sterry's signature right here.
yeah, J.R. Sterry, J.R. Rich.
This guitar is Jeff Rich did this from RCA Guitars. I haven't talked to Jeff in a long time, but I mean, he just, as you guys can see, he just freaking killed it. I mean,
Oh man, that's killer.
He's so good.
it is the Donnie. It is the you can tell it's off center. The head. People missed that for a few years, but
Well, it was I don't know if it was done intentionally, like cut and then reattached for that purpose, probably originally. And then, of course, later on, it broke at the seam and had duct tape back on.
Donnie, see the pickup ring?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That was on the B.
Yes, and more of Ed's guitars we're finding from this era actually had the routes expanded so that he could put that ring in and adjust where the pickup sat to his liking, because that was such an important aspect of his tone, is getting the pickup exactly in the position and the angle he wanted. So he requested, apparently, the Bumblebee had it, this guitar had it, the Star had it. They all had their pickup routes slightly expanded so he could do that.
Yeah.
And specifically set it where he wanted it.
Makes sense.
Yep. All right, let's see. Let's see. What's the story behind it? What is the story?
How straight is the bar on that thing?
What's that?
How straight is the bar on that thing? I mean,
So this is a little bit of a hybrid. What do you call it? I combined a bunch of different eras in this. I wasn't quite sure how I wanted to go about it.
it looks
I
killer.
wanted the original B neck with a headstock. I wasn't quite so sloppy on the back.
Yeah.
But I wanted these tuners on it, and I also wanted the updated version of the Floyd when he had a Floyd on it, but I put it in black. Again, I'm combining like 1979, 1978 with what, Donnie, 2003, 4?
Late 90s when it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also wanted the B pickup ring, but I also wanted the, what do you call it? The
Tele control plate.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, the tele control. Yep, the tele control plate. But as far as the bridge, I wanted the what do you call it? The Charvel V trim.
Oh, the Mighty Mite.
It was a Mighty Mite. Yeah.
Mighty Mite. Yeah.
This is basically just a Floyd Rose, a newer Floyd Rose that I painted the base silver, put gold posts on, and I painted the saddles gold. And I took a regular, Strat bar, and I just straightened it out and put the gold tip on it.
Wow, that is awesome, man. It looks just like the real deal.
He's
Yeah,
resourceful.
Combination of a few different eras, but I just thought this was kind of cool to do. So every once in a blue moon, I'll combine eras on a guitar, and this was just one of them. Now, Joe Suma, our good friend Joe Suma, who owns Greenwich Music, played Light Up the Sky on this guitar at EVH Con, I think 3 years ago, I think it was. And yeah, it's a great playing guitar. I actually love it. It's kind of a pain in the ass to keep in tune because the ones that don't have the fine tuners, they're just kind of a pain. But once you get it dialed in, it's not half bad. But let's see.
What's
Never.
the weight like on it? Is it heavy?
What's that?
What's the weight like on it? Is it heavy or?
It's actually this. Gosh, I can't tell. I don't know what this is made of. I don't remember. I want to say basswood. I can't remember. It's not light. I mean, it's definitely kind of a heavier guitar.
I think Chris used to do maple actually because it was a lock body.
A lock. Maybe this honestly feels, Donnie, like maple. It's heavy.
The reason I say that, I remember specifically having this discussion with him, and he insisted on maple just because it made carving of the snakehead so much better than the accurate, which would be ash. But they're similar in weight anyway. It's just maple just was so much easier for him to do that head with the teeth, and not break it.
Yep. That's probably what it is.
I actually like heavier guitars. I mean, I don't like, Les Paul heavy, but I like Northern Ash heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Owen Nugent says, ask Donnie if he's ever going to get the history of the 5150 done on EVH Guitar Timeline.
It's tough. There's not as much history of the 5150 anyway as there is for things like the Frank. It's pretty basic. Like he gets it and then puts the stickers on it, and then there's nothing pretty much until he swaps the neck around and puts the PD pickup in it. But I haven't done much work on that site since I had a lot of free time several years ago, and I've given access to the site. It's not my site, but I was given the ability to give access to the site to a couple people who have contributed some, but it's just not been something I've had the time to do, unfortunately. But I do enjoy having conversations like this, put the info out there, and then people are free to divulge that info on their side of things,
Yeah. 09 Record says Washburn Wonder Bar. I think 09, you're talking about my yellow double neck that we were talking about. It is a Washburn bridge. It's not the Wonder Bar. It is a, gosh, I'd have to go get it. It's a bridge that pivots like a Floyd with two posts, but gosh, I don't believe it's the Wonder Bar. I could be wrong, but it's not going to be much longer. So Kurt 5150 says, late to the party. Any info on the PRS EVH prototype? That was kind of short-lived, wasn't it, Donnie?
Yeah,
I think that was just an example of one of many companies trying to snap Ed up when he was between endorsements. I don't think Ed may not even have known about it. They might have just made a guitar and said, "Here, do you want to endorse us?" And nothing came of it. So that's kind of my feeling on it.
I agree with that.
Because and it's funny because they trivialize Edwards so much, and that guitar shows how sometimes, and this isn't a knock to PRS because they've made incredible guitars for incredible players, but it shows that sometimes the people in charge of these things don't truly understand like what they're doing, to the extent that like they're not in the right headspace to make a guitar that's going to earn an endorsement, because that thing, they're just like, we'll put a Floyd Rose and a tremolo and a single humbucker. That'll get us Eddie Van Halen one. It's like, come on.
And stripes.
Yeah. You have to put a little more effort into it than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So you guys kept asking. So this is the double neck, and yeah. So you're gonna see this neck is gonna be all changed, and Donnie, this was a Washburn, but I sanded off the logo. That's not a Wonder Bar, is it?
No. The Wonder Bar is a big clunky thing.
Yeah. So this looked like a Rockinger when I built this guitar back 6-7 years ago. It was close enough, and I said, I'm just going to do this. Yeah. So the Floyd posts are going to have to be filled, and everything else is going to be made to look kind of like the real deal. So I want to make it right. That's why I got the Rockinger. So gosh, this thing's heavy as hell.
I know, right? And unwieldy.
Yeah, exactly. It's not the most easy guitar to play, but I will say it is a lot of fun. Yeah. So this
beautiful.
Yeah. This is going to be the next project, and thanks to Mr. McGuire, this will have a Rockinger on it. So Donnie, do you have yours handy by any chance?
Just the body. The other one was first on one. It was a commission.
Yeah.
So I just have the body on the shelf, and it's under a stack. I'll get it just to show off.
Yeah, show off.
Can you imagine playing Cathedral on that big old thing? And I mean, Eddie did it.
Yeah, he did it. And the funny thing is, if you have it like, okay, so this would be where I'd normally, hold it. I mean, I can see doing it. It's just not the most, it's a little cumbersome, definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's tough. Playing secrets on it is tough too, especially, well, yours is probably built with a little better spec, but Ed's 12-string neck was pretty narrow at the nut because it wasn't supposed to be a 12-string neck. But yeah, this is the one I did.
Oh yeah.
Little shiny.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's and Paul Unkert painted that guitar and built it.
Yeah, he did the whole build. He told me a cool couple things about it. Mine, if you see the geometry of this 12-string side, it's a little different. It's not a neck pocket. It has a little bit of a lap joint for like a mortise and tenon, and that's how those aluminum Kramer necks were. They had like a little lap that went in, and then the fretboard sat flat on the body. And with these in particular, the neck plate was just a fake. Like the neck plate screwed on just to have like a serial number, but it had these two machine bolts underneath that actually went into the aluminum in the neck to hold it on. So that's how I've done mine. And that's why I'm not able to just do a regular wood neck for mine. I'm going to have to get a real aluminum neck and retrofit it. That's why it's kind of just languished for a while I'm waiting to either get set up to make aluminum necks, which is eventually going to happen, or find a real one, which would be preferable. But it's cool. It's just a matter of getting everything together to finish it off. But
that's awesome, Donnie.
Yeah, man. Thanks.
Those paint jobs on those things, man, that is incredible.
It is. Isn't it
it's a fun one,
right?
It's a fun one to do because it's like, it's hard and it's very busy, but it's not hard like a Frank is, where there's a lot of relic work and overlapping complexity. It's just like it's clean. It's clean with a lot going on. So I had a lot of fun doing this one. I'm gonna go put it back.
Yeah, that's a great guitar. I know when I saw the post that you did when you put it up, I was like, whoa, that's incredible. Because there's not, like, there's not a lot of those replicas out there,
Not a lot at all.
No.
And for good reason, because they're a pain in the ass.
They're cool.
Yeah, right? Cobra Kai says, Donnie, when are you making Van Halen logo guitars?
As soon as I want to get stabbed by my guitar.
Yeah, right?
That thing looks uncomfortable. But what happens with me is I'll just get really like interested and attached to something, and I have a full blown woodworking shop on my property. So it's just a matter of like, all right, take it, do all the drawings and the plans on the computer, and once I've got it figured out, or I think I've got it figured out, walk it out to the shop and build it. And that's it. It's really low barrier to entry. So maybe one day I'll get the itch for the Van Halen logo guitar, and you guys will see a post about it. But I haven't gotten there yet.
I know, never ending. That's what keeps this whole process going. Is there's always a project in the works.
Yep.
Let's see.
I think that's what Eddie would have wanted. I mean, this is how we keep his spirit and him alive, is chasing this. It's really a never-ending rabbit hole, and you can take it as far as you want to go. But, for me personally, doing and talking what we're talking about with the guitars and all that kind of stuff, the shoes, the posters, all that kind of stuff, being inspired by other people, it's what keeps Edward alive in my house.
Yeah.
And I want that to continue for at least as long as I'm alive.
It keeps it relevant in the lives of many people, where other artists, as talented as they may have been and as great as their music may have been, I can't think of one other guitar player in history, maybe Les Paul, maybe. And that's not even a shoe-in, in my opinion. But I can't think of any other guitar players in history that genuinely have this much that keeps their legacy alive, and people every day talking about and learning about. And there's just so much, and it's great to be able to share all of this stuff with this great community over the years.
I love the videos on YouTube. Like, there's been like 2 or 3 of them where they'll play some people that are totally not into Van Halen at all, and they'll play like one of Edward's solos. Say the last one I saw was like they played him the solo from like Live Without a Net, and they were like, this was not a human that played this, and they showed Edward playing it. Of course, we've all seen it a million times, and they became fans instantly and were blown away. And we all got to see this person. It wasn't a superhero. He was to us, but he was an actual person.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it honestly, that's what, like we just said, that's what keeps the spirit alive. It really is. I mean, there's never a dull moment. There was always someone that's doing something online. There's always someone who's playing something, a different rendition of something. There's always someone who is finding this new picture or this new spec on this particular guitar. There's something for everybody. And like I said, R.I.P. Ed, and I am personally excited about all the live stuff that's coming out. Because Ed always played everything different every time. I mean, the main riffs and all that was the same, but the solos and just the the energy that they had was so different. I'm so much excited about anytime there's new pictures of guitars, anytime there's new information on the guitars. Donnie, I know you're involved with a lot of the sales and some of the stuff with the real stuff that was out there. You've had your hands in that, and that's amazing. But as far as the live stuff's concerned, just hearing new stuff that comes out is just, I mean, if you get on YouTube now, the Diver Down soundboard stuff that's coming out, it's just boom. And we know there's 1980 stuff. We know there's 81 stuff. We know there's 84 stuff. So, I mean, as Ed used to say, fasten your seatbelts, because there's going to be more stuff coming out. I'm pretty pumped about that. But
I tell you, when they released, it was from, I think it was from that Free Dallas show. They redid that in like HD or whatever.
Yep.
And we were able to see the guitars, and we were able to see Edward and Sammy and Alex, and we were able to see that in like Now Vision. There were clips of like Edward's amps that we saw that we had never seen before because we were used to seeing them in like the old TVs, and now we can see them in HD.
Yeah.
It's
And
like the MTV thing too, where they went through 5150 and
yeah,
it's all-
Yeah. That's great. There's the Rude. There's the 5150. That's talking about the French.
right.
It's
Well,
so
the guy, you know, the Godfather of rock and roll. No, wait a minute. It's not rock and roll. It's you know, some guy named James Brown lives in the same state that I do.
yeah.
And me and him talk from time to time, and I sent him pictures. And I was like, hey, what did you guys do with these amps, you know, or whatever? Because Meridian is really like, you know, it's like an hour and a half from where I live. And James lives in a town south of me, about an hour and 15 minutes from me. And I got to look him up when I go down there one time. But I would send him pictures, you know, HD pictures of this stuff, and he'd be like, where'd you get pictures that good? And I was like, well, they released this on like, you know, Van Halen News Desk or whatever, and I'd send it to him, and he'd be like, I've never seen that before. And I was like, well, that's why I'm sending it to you. I wanted you to see it and like, you know, today's age or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
And he would tell me, you know, we put the amps down and we put tape on them, and everybody out there come help like spray paint them and stuff. I mean, you know, it was, we all think that there was like this master plan behind this stuff.
Yeah.
And there really wasn't.
Yeah.
It was haphazard, to say the least.
It was. It really was. You know, there was no mystery. And I've tried to find that mystery for, let's see, I'm 48 years old. I've been trying to find that mystery for about 25 years. There's no mystery. It just happens.
I know. Well, as Paul Unker said, you know, he always uses the word when I would meet with him, you know, hang out and talk, he'd be willy-nilly. I mean, even back in the creamery days, everything was willy-nilly. There was never any rhyme or reason. It was just haphazard, as you said, you know.
Yeah.
Checky says, has the EVH Wolfgang ever changed over the years, specifically wise? I mean, yeah. I mean, you know, there's a belly contour in the back. There's forearm contour, like a Strat. I mean, a lot of specs changed. Once Ed passed, EVH really started doing a lot of different things, not bad things, just different and experimenting. So yeah, I mean, the PV Wolfgangs pretty much stayed the same. I mean, there was the specials, there was the, you know, the Indonesian releases of the specials and the standards and all that. And then EVH came out, you know, and they released the Wolfgang, and it was pretty, you know, it was pretty standard. But yeah, they've done a lot of different things with those. And I really haven't paid much attention to the Wolfgangs ever since Ed passed. I've always kind of stayed very, you know, in the present with what, you know, they released back then. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of research out there on that, and there's a lot of good options. And Jeff Shin says, whatever happened to the Drop to Hell tremolo? Well, on the, you know, Burrito's guitar, the Drop, and a couple of others, you know, the As Is guitar, the Drop to Hell bridge was something that EVH was, Ed, I should say, was kind of excited about. It really wasn't that, in my opinion, it really wasn't that interesting. I mean, it really didn't do that much other than, as a matter of fact, I mean, it dropped, you know, I think it was just a low E, wasn't it, Donnie? It only dropped low E.
It was a D tuna with in a hardtail context, and instead of going from E to D, it went from E to A. So he could do that like really low chugging stuff that he was experimenting with at the time.
The funny thing was too is, you know, it was supposed to make this big appearance, so to speak, and then all of a sudden nothing.
Yeah.
And you saw in the Japanese magazines, you know, folks were recreating them, and I still love to get one sometime just for a replica. But
Excuse me.
The funny thing is, what's interesting is what I heard. They never released it because they didn't really think that it was going to really explode the way that, you know, the Floyd Rose would or the D-Tuner would. They just kind of let it go because it never really seemed to take off, you know. Donnie, is that kind of your interpretation?
Yeah, I think when you start to get into trying to do a release such as that with big companies and distribution and this and that, there's a lot of opportunities for someone to step in and say, I don't think so. Ed loved it. Ed had a patent on it, or shared a patent for whoever he co-designed it with. And I know that Ed and Matt and guys like that were very excited about it because they had told some mutual friends of ours that just, I got to show you this thing. I'm so excited about it. Like, that's how Ed was talking about the thing at the time. But I think, especially, once the EVH company is involved with FMIC, this isn't a knock on them, but there's just a lot of executives in suits and people who can say, like, yeah, I don't think this is going to do what we want, so I'm saying no.
Yeah.
So that's probably, I think you're right. I haven't heard any specifics, but I get the same impression.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to have one. I mean, you look at the things that Ed has done: Rockinger, Floyd Rose, Trans-Trem, Kill Switch, D-Tuna. I mean, there's so many little crazy offshoot things that most guitar players didn't do. So as far as, the Drop to Hell bridge, yeah, I'd love to have one. I think maybe one day someone will come out with one. I don't know if it'll be everything in the, EVH releases, but yeah, it'd be kind of fun. We're getting, we're starting to run out of time here, but I do want to bring up a couple of things real quick. And I want to give, there's so many guitar builders out there. There's so many painters out there. There's so many things that people do in this community that we all appreciate. And, it's never ending. I mean, the amount of talent that's out there, and, it's just amazing. And I want to give a shout out to a friend of mine who sent me a gift. There was no monetary stuff involved. Actually reached out to me and said, hey, I'd really like to have one of my guitars in Dojo 5150. What can I do for you? And I had one, but I really wasn't happy with it. And I'd been watching his work. But Justin Kanonovich, J-Con Guitars, who Donnie knows, I know, and Hef, I'm sure you've heard of Justin. He's on all the websites.
Oh, sure.
He does some amazing guitars and some, just incredible replica stuff. I'm not going to disclose too much, but he's definitely working on some really cool stuff right now. Look him up on Facebook. Look him up on Instagram, J-Con Guitars.
I think Justin was around. I think I may be mistaken, but I think he was around towards the end of the EddieVanHalen.com days. I think he came in there like just at the tail end, I think.
Yeah,
I may be wrong, but I think so.
He's a younger guy, but he's definitely got a lot of talent.
Absolutely. Yeah,
and Donnie, you saw this guitar in person. This is definitely one I've never seen in person. But Justin did a recreation of the 918V for me, and this is a lock body. And Justin did the paint job for me, and I think he did a credible job. Michael McGuire Space Tape, of course. And I built this guitar myself, and Justin did some pretty incredible work on it, and I'm very grateful to him. I think it's a really, really, really good rendition of what the real one looks like. There's not a lot of pictures of the back. There's a couple that might come close, and I think he nailed it. So I want to give a shout out to our friend Justin. And not only that, the necks that were on a lot of these backup 5150 Kramers were Kramer necks, but they were pointy headstock, tilt back headstocks with a skunk stripe, which is kind of crazy because you don't see a lot of that. And I remember when I had my initial neck on this body before Justin did the paint job, the headstock was a little bit bigger. And, I know Steve Nowicki, our friend, sourced a real one. And then Donnie and I kind of started going to work on this, and Donnie did all the work. I just kind of supplied a couple pictures and then kind of confirmed Donnie what he thought anyways. Donnie, you want to just chat real quick about this neck? And by the way, he did this paint job for me, and it was a gift. And, yeah, this is truss rod adjustment here, and this is what the real one looks like.
Yeah,
Wow.
we were kind of perplexed. I say we, maybe I was the only one perplexed. I know some of us were trying to figure out what was going on with that neck because, like you say, skunk stripe, and we knew that from photos of the real one. Tilted, pointy headstock, that's simple enough. But it was scarf jointed. It did not have a three-piece neck, which is what Kramer moved to eventually. And because it had a scarf jointed headstock, I was, as a guitar builder, confused on what exactly was going on. So I happened to be in Germany over my 30th birthday a couple months ago. And part of that, I took a trip to Amsterdam, and I spent on the day I turned 30 years of age, I spent part of that day in the Hard Rock Amsterdam looking at that guitar and taking photos of it just by chance. I happened to be there. I wanted to make the pilgrimage. So, I'm taking photos of this thing. I'm getting close-ups, and I'm trying to figure out what's going on. I took the photos home, and I kind of marinated on it. And as Rob mentioned, Nowicki had found a real Kramer neck, which seemed to be a dead ringer. So he sent me some photos, and Rob and I talked, and I figured out how the thing was made, which no sense in getting too detailed and technical, but it's just a way of laminating the headstock and installing the truss rod that I did not previously consider. But what you're looking at with what Rob has here is an example of a standard Kramer American pointy tilt, which would have been identical to what was on the 918V. So I made that neck for Rob, and I've been doing some template work, taking my CAD drawings and kind of making templates for the stripe positions, kind of just as this is something I did back on Halen.com. You guys might remember my old raster templates I used to make, but I've been doing some of those with the CAD drawings. So I showed Rob some of the pictures, and I was like, we kind of just agreed I'll just do the paint on his 918V. So I did, came together real nice, and I couldn't be more pleased to have that thing on one of Rob's replicas, as many of my necks and bodies are part of. But yeah, it was a great kind of full circle thing. Rob just happened to be doing this with the 918V. I happened to have seen the real one in Amsterdam all around the same time, and came home hungry to make some guitars. So I got to work on some necks. And I will admit I had to try 4 or 5 times to figure it out because it's a very strange way to make a neck. And kudos to Kramer, because actually it's a great, very sturdy way to make a tilt back neck and still have it be one piece, which they were already kind of tooled up to do at ESP. So good on the engineers at ESP and Kramer for figuring that stuff out.
Well, honestly, yeah, it is. It's incredible. And these are not the kind of neck that you find very often.
No.
These are not very easy to find. I don't know, Donnie, maybe 2, one for the 918V and then, this one. But I think I need to come up with a project for this because I just can't let this go to waste.
I think you know what it needs to go on.
I think I can think of a few.
Yeah, there's a Steinberger Kramer guitar that needs to go on. Yeah. I think that'll probably be, and they're making those bodies now, as a matter of fact. So
Locke is doing them actually through Headless USA. Yeah.
So do I sense another trans trem in the works? Maybe.
They're making trans trims too. So there you go.
RWB Precision. I got one on my Les Paul, Steinberger Les Paul. So there's one more thing I want to talk about real quick, and then we'll get ready to wrap it up. So another good friend of ours, Matt Anthony, who, just kind of
my goodness,
about 5 years ago. What's that?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, seriously. So if you were to look at this, would you think this is the real 5150?
I would.
That dude's on another planet, man.
Yeah.
It's just insane. So anyways, Matt and I became friends, and him and Nowicki came up and hung out at Dojo 5150, played a bunch of guitars, and I had a couple 5150s, and I'm going to give credit to Chris Hubbard, best of the best too, and many other folks out there. Jerry makes some of the best there are. You just can't give everybody's name. Yeah. There's just so many folks.
Too many good guys out there, and they all have their DNA. They all have their mark where they're very good at. They're very good at the whole thing, but they're particularly good at one or two specific things, which makes it unique.
I remember, so Matt came out one day and we're hanging out. I knew he was doing guitars, and he said, I want to redo your 1984. And I said, okay, I should probably go grab that real quick. I'll grab it in a second. And I said, okay. So he redid it, and I was just literally blown away. And and I had two 5150s at the time. And he said, I want to do your 5150. And I said, that's cool. I don't need, no, let me do it. I'm going to make you, what's your favorite era? And at the time I had the current era with the 7-tuner, with the PV Wolfgang pickup and all that. And that was fine. It was cleaned up, neck wasn't dirty. And I loved it. But my favorite era is the 88, 89 Japan Tokyo show right before the headstock break.
When it's love.
Yeah. That's the era. Dirty and nasty, basically the era of the picture, the poster in the guitar magazine of the Steinberger, the Frankenstrat, and the, actually I got it right here on my phone, I think.
No, there.
Oh, there it is. Yeah. That's the era I like right there. That's my favorite era. So he said, if you can do one of these for me, go for it. So it's been just over a year and a half, and he has dedicated himself as making me the ultimate 5150. And I've been in this corner the whole way. He sent me all these different pictures, and like I said, this is the latest one. And it's I'm pretty much it's going to have a real Hanson Metalworks Floyd on it, which this one is, and I actually have one right up there, which is all set to go on this. And this is going to be coming in, I believe, in the next week or so. And this is what we're going to see. This is it right here as we speak now. There's a little bit more work to do to the headstock, couple cigarette burns to do on the E and the A tuners, but yeah, it's done. It's ready, and she's ready to roll. And I am honored to have probably one of the most accurate 5150s in the history of anything. I'm pretty pumped. So Matt and I will be doing a show on this guitar when it comes in, and I'm going to put it all together. I'm going to put the bridge on, string it up, set it up how I like it, and then I'm going to put a video out of me playing 5150, the song. And I got to do it before I turn 52 on October 5th. 51 right now, and I'm in my 50s, and I'm going to play to my 5150 amp on my 5150 guitar. Play the song 5150. So I need to time that just right. So that will be coming. So stay tuned, guys. You're going to see this guitar in action. And that is it's going to be a real Hanson Metalworks whale tail, a real deal. It's a lock neck and a lock body. That's a Pariah PS 86 pickup. And yeah, it's about as accurate as you can get to what the real 88, 89 version would have been.
Unreal, man.
I want to say this real quick. Man, I've been looking at these replicas for, I want to say, decades now, because, it's been a long time. And, we've seen them, come to different levels over the years or whatever, and man, that is just, if Edward was alive and he had like his real guitar and somebody blindfolded him and put them beside one another, I don't know if he could be able to tell which one was the real one, because that's just crazy.
It's nuts. I had the same reaction to this guitar and others like it in its class that I did when Steve Sandy put out his thread for the Frankenstrat back on Halen.com. That build is still world class to this day, 13 years later. But I have a similar reaction to some of these 5150s, because it's just, every once in a while you get a replica that's just so damn good that you just have to soak it in. It takes time to process it.
That Frankenstrat that you're talking about that was on Halen.com, didn't it have a like crazy name to it.
Yeah, Quigonstein.
Something like that.
Einstein.
Quigonstein. Yeah. Yep.
That is the I mean, he'll post it on Facebook from time to time.
Yeah. Phil.
Yeah, Phil, and I'll still say to this day, and I mean that's been a long time.
I know. I've seen you in the comments, and every time I'm inclined to comment and say I'm with you, man. I agree.
And I'd be like, dude,
I know. Yeah.
I mean, that's the sickest one I've ever seen.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's been a long time.
So this is the Matt Anthony 1984. And you can even see it's the 1988 version where there's like duct tape jammed in the pickup cavity and the screwdriver. Yeah, I mean, he freaking nailed this. I mean, I can't even, I just can't even tell you. It's insane. He nailed the overspray. Everything just came out incredible. It's got the 2 stars up in the, under the first horn, the top horn. We're thinking it's number 2, 1984, right, Donnie? Not Z.
I'd always heard about Z, but realistically, with the higher res photos we have, it's pretty clear that they were trying to say number 2.
Yep.
Yeah. So.
And you can see that Ed did have a tray table on this guitar. He did. There was a tray table on there. And the neck plate is actually, I keep forgetting the numbers. It is B4125.
That's Wolfgang's guitar.
Yep, this is Wolfgang's guitar. This is the guitar that the clip that I played a little while ago. You know, this guitar was played on the 1984 tour, and it had a whale tail bridge on it, chrome.
Yep.
Hey, boy.
Pickup. Yep. This is a Steinberger knob. Believe it or not, that it was on it during the 88 era, which it was not on there in 84, and it had a different neck on it with the 2 stars. And then Zeke put this together again once the neck was removed. But this is a great guitar, and this is some Matt Anthony work right here. And he just nailed everything. So this is going to go next to the 1980. The 5150, and I'm going to do some videos on it. And there's one more thing I want to show real quick before we end it. And this is a guitar that a lot of folks don't know about. Donnie, I know you know about this, and Hef, I know you do. This is a gift from Chris Hubbard that he sent me. And Donnie, this is the neck that was on the V, and you can tell the headstock's a little bit bigger, but it'll work.
Yeah.
This was a backup 5150. On the 86 tour, and there's pictures of, and you go on my Facebook, you'll see it had 1986 type space tape on it, and then it was taken off at some point. But it's a
Doogie guitar.
The Doogie guitar. Yep. Yeah. So this was also a pointy headstock, tilt back with a skunk stripe. And Hubbard did this for me, and he said, I want you to have this in your collection. He just sent it to me for nothing. So I'm very grateful to our good friend, Chris Hubbard. So this is going to be another one. So there's going to be a 5150, the 1984, the 918V, and the 1986. And we're going to call that the Space Tape Collection.
The next one you need is the When It's Love Kramer, because I'm involved, or I was involved in that.
And Jerry just made a replica of that guitar.
I know. He was almost done. I don't want to say too much, but he was almost done with it. And I was like, well, I just had this guitar in my hand. So I sent him some pictures, and then he redid it.
Yeah, I know. He redid it because I sent him some pictures of the sides with some overspray. And he goes, yeah, Donnie just sent me that. I got to redo it. So we love Jerry.
Yeah, he's amazing.
So I'm not the only one that describes the 5150 as the When It's Love 5150.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, good.
You're not the only one. You call the When It's Love guitar, which is interesting because it was just there in the photo shoot. But he
There's
played
a lot of photo shoots that I found, but I couldn't find anything on stage, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's hard to find. Yeah, it's hard to find. But Donnie, you and I got to talk. I want Yeah, we can talk. There's a couple pictures I need.
One
Now,
thing,
Ben
one
Thompson,
thing I want to say about When It's Love is when I hear that on the radio and he does that break in the solo in the video where he does like this,
he goes like this with his hair. Yeah.
I will be driving down the road and he breaks into that and I do that. My wife's like,
Go. Yeah.
what are you doing? And I'm like, no, you don't understand.
Yeah, I know. You
I
got
mean,
to
come on.
you got to make sure you take your hat off though when you do it.
Yeah. Well, I scratched the beard, not the hair, because there's no hair there anymore.
Yeah. Ben Tom says Playboy, and what he's talking about is the Dwyer and Michaels interview where Ed's talking about. Actually, no, I take that back. It's the Wolfgang on Howard Stern interview where Wolfgang's talking about when Ed gave him the 1984 guitar, the one you showed, and he had all this card, all this crazy stuff in there, and it was a Playboy card, and Ed says Playboy, which is interesting because Wolfgang is definitely doing that right now. He is playing and he's
killing it,
kicking ass, and I love his music. I've seen Wolfgang twice live. My wife and I have seen him live, and he's just amazing. And he's taking his dad's music to another level. So Wolf, if you're out there and you ever see this, keep kicking ass, dude, because your music is great, and I know your dad is smiling down in heaven looking at you right now, and he's so proud.
Absolutely.
So is your mom. So keep up the good work. But on that note, I think we've got a couple 2.5 hours. We should probably conclude, but there will be more shows coming soon. Stay tuned for the 5150 guitar show. And Hef, thank you so much for these amazing sneakers. They're awesome. Hef, I've already had 3 people message me wanting to know your information, so you will be getting messages. So as Eddie would say, fasten your seatbelt because I think you have some projects to do. And Donnie, as always, I hope this has spawned some more of you taking your personal time away from you because
come on. I love it, man. I always love jumping on, talking, geeking out.
No, I mean
Donnie, get to work.
Projects. I mean,
yeah, I know. Projects or not, it's worth it to me.
Well, these 2 good friends right here, and I thank you guys for watching. Donnie's going to be back on real soon. Jeremy, we're going to have you on again real soon. I really appreciate you guys jumping on last minute, and I certainly appreciate all the hard work you guys have done, not just for me, but for the Van Halen community. You guys are what makes this fun and makes it stay alive. So thank you very much. Don't hang up. If I lose you, I will call you, but thanks everybody for watching, and we will be in touch. Good night, everybody. Thank you.